everyone, and welcome back to HerVoice DCU Podcast. It is semester 2. We are back and we are shaking things up with a new format, new themes every week. How are you guys doing? I'm Angela. I am your podcast coordinator, and today I am joined with Lora and Aoife.
Hi guys, it's Lora again, your chairperson for this year.
And I am Aoife. I'm the secretary of her campus for the second year running. And Angela, I'm so glad to be back. I love the podcast, so I can't wait to get started.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm excited to have you two on again. It's always a fun time. So hopping into our articles of the week, I have been on that grind for articles. I didn't really write much last semester, but this semester I've been kind of like, do you know what? I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I'm going to write more. I wrote 2 articles the first week we started releasing them. And then last week I wrote about current trends that are happening in 2020/2021. And I talked about my favorite human being in the entire world, Emma Chamberlain. She is obsessed with sweater vests. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan, but I absolutely love her style. And I got like one of her pictures approved for my article, and I was just like so happy. And also corsets are in. Of course, Bridgerton is massive. I haven't seen it. Have you guys watched the show?
I literally just finished it last night. Iconic. I love it. And I love the pop music in it in like orchestra. It is iconic. I love it.
I'm so ashamed to say that I haven't seen Bridgerton, and I only found out who Emma Chamberlain was like very, very recently. I'd never heard of her before. I think I'd heard somebody talking about how she makes coffee, and I thought that was just her thing. I thought she was just a person who made coffee. And I was like, oh, grand. And then I think it was actually Angela. I think it was your article. And then you like put in a little thing. It could have been could have been something else on the Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And I went into her and I was like, oh, that's Emma Chamberlain. I'm so completely out of touch with like YouTube and like TikTok and Netflix. I'm such a granny. So this is definitely an education.
Emma Chamberlain is like 21 or 22, and she literally like Vogue is like obsessed with her.
She's 19.
She's 19.
Yeah.
I had no idea she was 19.
Yeah, she's like a YouTuber, and like her whole brand is like coffee, and she has her own like coffee brand, but also she's such like a style icon, and she's just absolutely hilarious. Like if you ever want to have like a good laugh, just go and watch like an Emma Chamberlain vlog, because she's so like candid. She's not like one of those like, so guys, I woke up and like I already look like this. No, she's just like, my hair is a mess, I'm a mess, and now my cat is climbing on me, you know. She's gas.
The blueprint for everyone that's trying to vlog though, like everyone her age that's trying to vlog and do that kind of thing, they all use the same like sound effects as well whenever they're sipping coffee or something. I'm not that mad on her, to be honest.
Really?
I think she's kind of overrated. But I do like the sweater vest trend. I just don't think I could ever wear it.
I noticed the sweater vest trend, and I feel like it looks great on some people with the kind of baggy shirt and sweater vest. But I think that like if you have even moderately large breasts, it doesn't really work, because I think it just, I don't know. I think it looks nice when it's like the baggy look. But I remember I have 3 sisters, and we're all the same size, and we all have the same size shoes, and we all kind of have the same style, and my mom as well. So it's really handy in my house. But one of my sisters is really stylish. I think she might actually get some inspo from Emma Chamberlain. But I tried on one of her. She had like a sweater vest dress. It was horrific. It was the worst thing it's the worst I've ever looked in my entire life. I was so ashamed. So I think I'm going to stick to my classic leggings and jumper trend of this past lockdown, as opposed to trying to go out of my comfort zone too much. But I'll definitely hop on that Emma Chamberlain trend. You've definitely inspired me, Angela, because she seems like a cool girl.
Yeah, she's gas. And yeah, no, faux leather is also really trendy now. I don't own anything that's faux leather, but it looks
I have a full wardrobe of just leather.
Unreal. That's so iconic.
I love it so much. I've always been on an absolute leather buzz, and I got Doc Martens for Christmas, so I literally look like a biker going around.
We love.
We do.
I have taken a small break from writing articles because I am exhausted, but I picked an article that I want to talk about, and it was Rebecca Roach's article. She's a master's in journalism student, and she did an article about burnout, and she kind of went into detail about what is burnout, how you can avoid it, that kind of thing. And I think it was something that our readers would really benefit from coming into the second semester. I find the second semester can be the bulkiest as well. It's way more stressy. Like, I find semester 1 and semester 2, like, there's an equal amount of, like, a lot riding on both of them, but the second semester always wrecks my head way more. But she did a really good article on how to avoid it and stuff, and yeah.
I find that as well, second semester. I don't know what it is, but I know if obviously final year buzz is not fun, but in general, it seems that you're kind of over the first excitement of getting back to college, and it just hits you straight after exams. You're starting in the middle of winter, and it's just so heavy. And especially now that we have 13 weeks, as opposed to, I think it was only 10 weeks we had last semester, and you can really feel it. So I completely appreciate that, Laura. I'm definitely on the same page.
Yeah, and I found that, like, burnout, I feel like, is way easier it's just easier to fall into it from working from home. Like, I find that I have absolutely no concept of when my day starts and ends when it comes to college or doing, like, extracurricular work or just anything. So I found her article really helpful. It's really, like, I just find working from home is, you just don't ever switch off. And even like I'm really bad as well for just never knowing not to check my emails. It's little things like that. It just really builds up in you. And I think that trying to get into a good routine this year is going to help a lot. Like, I'm making a rule that come 7:00, I am not allowed to look at my laptop.
Good woman yourself. That's a great idea.
See, I'm so scared I'm gonna miss an important email that I have my email notifications on at, like, all times. And I think it's because, like, I'm a first year and I still really don't know what I'm doing at all. And also online college is way different to what I expect real college is like.
Even college group chats, though, I won't look at them after a certain point anymore, because I get that a lot of people, they'll kind of only get, because I'm kind of the same, they'll only get that productive burst in the evening time, and then they start want to work on the group projects. But, like, I'm watching Netflix, I'm in bed. I don't want to deal.
I wrote 2 articles actually. I wrote one on how to budget as a student, but I'm going to choose to not write about that smelly, boring article and instead talk about the wonderful world of masturbation and sex toys. So I wrote my article on a beginner's guide to sex toys. Are we surprised? I'm going to say no. I love a good dildo. I love a vibrator. I love a bit of lube. I just think that getting in touch with your body is the most important thing you can possibly do. And I'm going to get candid on this, because I'm sure that if you're listening to the HerVoice podcast, that you're a friend of Her Campus DCU and you're not going to judge us lovely women. So I think in Ireland, women aren't encouraged to explore masturbation, and it's such a taboo topic. And first of all, as if your religion teacher is going to be telling you about your G-spot and tell you how to stimulate your clitoris, that's not going to happen. And I just think that I'm not going to go into a full feminist rant, we'll save that for another podcast, but we are so subjected to the male gaze and to male sexual fantasies, and that so many women, especially when you're first beginning to become sexually active, all you're worried about is like doing it right and looking like you know what you're doing and looking like you're enjoying it, when, like, every woman that I know that has had sex or who has had a sexual act with a man has faked an orgasm. Every single woman I've ever spoken to. And that's terrible. It's a complete tragedy, and it's so sad that we'd have to put ourselves through that. And it's, for a lot of people, it's because women don't know what we like. Women don't know, what exactly turns them on, and that's why it's so important to masturbate. And it can be hard at times, because I know that especially the porn industry isn't very women friendly, and I know that whenever I've tried to watch porn, I just find it quite degrading and I don't like it at all. So I think getting a good understanding what kind of stimulation you like, whether it's clitoral or whether it's penetration, and getting a sex toy and lube, of course, water-based lube all the time, and exploring your body whenever you do come to have sex with a man or with a woman, with another partner, that you'll know exactly what you like, and there'll be no awkwardness, there'll be no tension or anything like that. And I cannot tell you how much bad sex I've had in my life. It's so bad to look back on. Now that I've kind of figured out exactly like what I like and when and where, it just has made my sex life 10 times better. So I'm such an advocate for self-love in every single way.
I think that's something that like men aren't taught, that they should care about what women like, so they don't know to do it. They're looking at porn and they're seeing just it, all the focus is on the male pleasure. But I also think that like there just wasn't the plethora of information out there whenever I was in school compared to what there is now. Like that's one topic as well that I think covered a lot on her campus this year. Is we talk about sex a lot more than I think we have any other year, which is great, because I know that if I'd have read your article whenever I was in sixth year, I wouldn't have had the same experiences that you had in the bedroom. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. And it is so hard, and there's no instruction manual, there's no one telling you how to do these things, and you're nearly going into it blind. And especially now, which is a whole other topic, and which is an article that I'll probably write in the future, is both, first of all, kink shaming, and second of all, how young women feel pressured into certain fetishes like choking, BDSM, and say like spitting into the mouth. And because a lot of women are afraid of being vanilla, and because people get like a lot of men, because men are so influenced by the porn industry from such a young age, and they're exposed to degrading and very extreme sex acts from such a young age, it's completely normalized. So like, if I've heard stories of women going on a one night stand with a man, and straight away there's a hand on the throat, and there's, rough play when there's no consent involved, and there's no speaking of if that's actually something you're interested in. And if it is, great, but if it's not, and for a lot of people, especially starting off on their sexual journey, they don't know what they like. And I think that there's a real problem with that, and there's a real problem with, just keeping it old fashioned. And like, women feel that, especially when they first get into a relationship, that they have to be, adventurous and up for anything, when in reality they mightn't be as comfortable with that as they might say. So I think there's a real problem with that, and I think it really needs to be examined and addressed. And there's a consent issue in there that we need to talk about more. And I think that thankfully we are, and there's more of a conversation around sex in the last 5 years. But at the same time, we've a long way to go.
It's something that isn't even talked about in schools, though, when it comes to, because it's like, how do you bring into the curriculum talking about kink shaming and how to engage in aftercare after having rough sex? If that's what you're into, there's an aftercare thing that you should talk about with your partner, so that no one feels bad after it, if you know what I mean. And no one talks about that either, and it's where do you find that information? But I think articles like what you're writing bring it up in conversation. It's the kind of thing that girls can read and then bring it up with their partners, or they'll know better how to bring it up with someone that they're maybe just seeing casually, or if they're just having a one night stand, because it is a conversation that doesn't need to be clinical, but it should be brought up.
Exactly. I completely agree. I absolutely agree, Laura.
Just isn't something that was talked about, though, at whenever I was 18. I'm 23 now in March, but like, it's only I'm only seeing it come up in the media in the last maybe 2 or 3 years. Whereas had I been reading articles like that, or listening to women talk about it on podcasts, and just being really open and honest about it, I might have not gone in myself into situations where I wasn't so comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it doesn't even, it just takes one person talking about it for somebody to say to their friend, and their friend might say to somebody else. And I don't think, obviously, like, getting kind of media attention is important, but just in terms of normalizing these conversations. And if you look back through history, and the kind of history of any form of liberation for women, it's had to come from just people being brave enough to speak about things that were taboo at the time. And I think that this is like the issue of, kink shaming, or being pressured into rough sex, or even just masturbation for women and female pleasure, and not needing a man to reach orgasm when you can do it yourself and you don't need a man for that. I think just being able to talk about it as openly as talking about what you're going to have for dinner is so important. And I think we are getting there, but I think it will take more engagement, and just putting your preconceptions and your internalized misogyny and your internalized shame aside, because we all have internalized misogyny, because we grow up in a patriarchal capitalist society. It's in our system, we can't help it. But it's just a matter of checking the automatic thought that comes into your head whenever you hear a woman openly speaking about sex. And instead of, if the first thought that comes to your head, she's a bit X, Y, and Z, you have to stop yourself and say, okay, that thought came from my internalized misogyny and this narrative that's been fed for me for the last 21 years. I recognize that, but I'm going to put that aside to what I actually know and what I actually know to be true. And let that be your outward expression, and that be your actual opinion on these things, because it's too often that we allow this like false narrative that women shouldn't be sexualized creatures, and that women are either, Madonnas or whores, as the famous complex goes. And I think that while these conversations are happening, they're not happening enough. And thank God that we have podcasts like this and spaces and platforms like this that we can actually project these views. But, it's going to take a lot of open, honest and introspective conversations, both with ourselves and with other women, in order to make these things more normalized.
For sure.
I literally went to an all-girl school for 14 years of my life until I moved to a mixed school. Like, there was no way this conversation was ever going to be had if, I wasn't like involved in this podcast, or, knowing that these articles are like being written and released by other amazing women. So that was amazing.
Thank you. You should see me in the smoking room with a pint. I'm so much worse. It just goes nowhere. So thank you, Angela. That means a lot. And so just even in terms of the theme of the episode, in staying motivated for college, I think that obviously with Zoom college and with Zoom classes, it's difficult to, keep in touch with yourself and to, keep on track of both your college work and your own mental health and your own progress. And so like a big part of my kind of journey of both like empowerment and discovery has been journaling, and which I know is number one way of staying atop yourself in college. But journaling, I think I have 3 different journals, and they're just the best thing ever, because it allows me to get all of these random entangled thoughts that I have in my head and put them into kind of delineated sections. So I have one for my kind of like a check off to-do list, and that lets me stay on top of all of my readings and all of my college work and all of my appointments that I have to do. And I just add my Google Calendar as well for things like that. And then I have my gratitude journal, which is just really quick, 5 lines a day. It's very short, just 5 things I'm grateful for in the morning and 5 things I'm grateful for in the evening. And then my third journal is just basically my stream of consciousness. And I actually keep that on my laptop, because I find that I don't write out very well because I'm that used to being on my laptop. And I tried for a while, and I just found that I was stopping because I just don't like writing, but I'm a good typer. So I literally just close my eyes and just type. And I get out every kind of thought that I have. So I found that that's really a good way of keeping in check with myself. And I could be typing out if I've had a bad day, I can type it all out and then look back and say, oh well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and here's why tomorrow is going to be better. So I find that journaling is really a great way to keep on top of myself during a very, very hectic year.
Can I just say that you are genuinely one of the most put together students
I
I've ever met. 3 journals is like that is miles. That isn't even something that I can like. My laptop is just a fucking whirlwind of.
My biggest talent is looking like I have my shit together when I really don't. I really, really don't. So I appreciate that it's working. So thank you.
No, I found like my thing that I kind of got into the rhythm of last semester was I wouldn't journal to the extent that you do. Like, that works for you, for me, I find it's like an extra piece of homework.
Yeah.
And I feel
get you.
pressure to keep up with it. So I do find that writing stuff out physically, like paper and pen, gets it into my head better if I have a to-do list. So I started keeping a to-do list last semester, which helped a lot. And you feel deadly when you look at it like at the end of the day and it's all ticked off. You're like, oh, I'm a businesswoman. But, I started doing that last semester, and what I did at the start of the year as well, I started doing not New Year's resolutions because I find that like a little bit like corny, but I do intentions instead. So it's what I intend to do.
Cool.
There's like less, it feels like there's less pressure. But I started doing it in the last like 2 or 3 years, and I found that most of the stuff, I always have like more than half of it ticked off. And I swear to God, it's just from writing it down. It gets like subconsciously into the back of your head, and you just like make moves on doing all of that. And I'll check up on it every 6 months as well, to see like my progress and stuff. So it's kind of similar to what you said. It's writing stuff down and kind of it subconsciously it gets into your head, and you just end up doing it anyway without thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm so with you there. And I'm a devil for my to-do list. If I do something that I haven't written down, I'll write it down after I've done it and then take it off. It's so sad.
No,
counterproductive.
No, we all do that. I'm one of those people that I just have a rolling to-do list all the time. It just never ends. It just keeps on going. And I'm not big into like pen and paper anymore. I just have everything online. I have my little Google Calendar set up, and then next to that I have all of my tasks, and I just keep on adding tasks and taking them off, and it just keeps on going like that. And I'm also really competitive, so to keep me motivated, I'll be like, okay, like I'll be texting my friends and be like, okay, we need to get 3 things done before we're like to start a new conversation. Or because everything's like online now, and I'm just getting used to college still.
You're so savage.
I feel like you're the mom friend.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the mom friend until I have
definitely.
I'm the mom friend until I decide that I no longer want to be the mom friend and I want to drink.
Yes.
And then, like on a night out, I'll usually be like, are you okay? Are you fine? Like, do you need something? And then like I'll be like, no. And then I drink, and then I need a babysitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm competitive. So I'm like, you're not allowed to text me until this time, until I'm finished this, or else I will just won't reply to your text.
Yourself.
I kind of compete with myself.
Mhm.
So like my intentions for this year, like one of them that I wrote down was I kind of like to keep it really broad too. So like one of them is just to get a 2-1, and that doesn't mean I'm putting down I have to get this much in this subject, this much in this subject. It's like broad enough that I just like know I have to work hard. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's brilliant.
No, I completely get that as well. I think having those broader goals, it really, like if you're kind of struggling one day and you're like, God, like why am I, sitting at a laptop for 10 hours a day doing all of this? Do I even want to do this? Am I even arsed like pursuing this? But then if you look at your greater life goals and you think, no, I'm going to get a 2-1. I want to get a job in X, Y, and Z. I want to, in 5 years, I want to be in this place or whatever it is. I think it's such a great kind of extra thing to have aside from, like to put your daily list in perspective and just say, right, well, this is why I'm putting myself through hell in 5 years to goal, my overarching goal. So I think that's actually so important as well, Laura. So
it's putting things in the greater picture, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely having long-term goals is important. Since like I'm already thinking like, okay, I want to first, even though that's like might be unrealistic for my first year, but I'm like, I'm working on this group project or whatever because it will benefit me in the long term, which is also really motivating.
I don't think that's unrealistic though. Like it's like a first for me just is unrealistic with the grades I've done in the last like 2 years. I just know that a 2-1 is my best bet at the moment. So that's why I have that down. But like a first in first year, aim high and keep aiming that high for the next 3-4 years, because you'll get there. That was my problem, I think, as well in first year. I wasn't thinking ever about the fact that someday I would have to leave college and all of this matters. So I think
too.
yeah. So like being focused early, I think will help you so much better in the long run.
That's great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have to give them to someone, so why not you? I will say that going off what Laura was saying, it can be so easy to literally get up in the morning, sit on your laptop, and then go to bed at night, and then get up and go on your laptop and put it away and go to sleep. But I know it's harder because we're in winter, but just taking care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I think it's so important. Like, I'm not fucking inventing the wheel here when I'm saying that you have to look after your mental and physical health, but it's worth kind of reiterating again. And even, I know DCU Counselling have free counselling services and they're fantastic. If you're stuck in your career, use the career services. Siobhan in the careers office is just a wizard. She's amazing. And get out for your walks and drink your pints of water and do your guided meditation. There's so many on YouTube. Do your yoga. Like, there's so many things. I know that it's stressful, and especially for any final years listening, the pressure is on and the stakes are high, but it's just so important to remember that I am not my grades. I am so much more than this, and I need to prioritize other parts of myself sometimes. Sometimes I need to prioritize college, but other times I need to prioritize getting a good night's sleep and eating 3 meals a day and stretching and face-to-face contact as much as we can, if not on Zoom or texting your friends, and drinking water and getting fresh air and getting exercise. And it can be too easy to literally just say, nope, I have too much to do today, no time to go outside. Everyone has time to go outside. If you have time to sit on Instagram for an hour, you have time to go outside. So I think and that in turn will help you stay motivated, because that's how you avoid burnout, is by switching up your routine and just trying to incorporate that balance into your life, whether you want to or not,
That's such a good point. I think that the more you take care of yourself as well, the easier Zoom college becomes, because you just feel better. I find with the lockdowns, I find it's so easy to just be negligent with myself. Like, I think the more time I spend in my bedroom, the more time, like, I just don't feel the need to go outside, because I'm like, why? I've nowhere to go. Like,
exactly.
I think when the shops were open, I was like, oh, get coffee on the way, treat myself. But now I don't even have, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even have like those little joys are gone, but that doesn't give me the right to just not see sunlight for days. You know what I mean? Honest to God, it's quite bad at the moment. I need to cop on, but it's on Aoife's walking buzz.
That was a bit mad now, in fairness. I think
excessive.
That probably did more harm than good.
But still a good point though. Like, I think using the resources that DCU has at the moment as well, in whatever capacity that they are, is something that I've forgotten about, to be honest, in the last 2 semesters. But yeah, people should definitely get on to them if they're struggling in any way, because they are really helpful.
Yeah, and that's what they're there for. They're there to be used by you.
I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. So that was an absolutely brilliant first episode back. Next week's theme is very, very exciting. So keep an eye out on it on the podcast group if you want to join that. If you're a member, go follow us on the social media. It's at Her Campus DCU.
Yeah.
And go read all of our articles, all of our amazing, amazing articles on the Her Campus DCU website. Yes? Great.
Yeah.
I was like, is that right? Did I say all of those things right? But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll be back next Sunday with another fun episode. Thank you, girls, for coming on. As usual, you are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela.